Team Power Sports fans, and welcome back to the TPS Motovlog. Today we are going to be taking a look at one of my favorite adventure bikes of all time. This right here is the 2023 Yamaha Super Tenere. This is the 1200cc version, and I'm just going to dig right into it. One of my favorite things about this bike is the 1200cc power plant. It's a parallel twin, but much like their MTO7, their MTO9, even the R1, they call it their cross-plane technology. This bike has the cross-plane tech. So instead of a standard firing order parallel twin, you're actually getting a 270-degree offset, giving you those cylinders firing a little bit closer together and getting a lot more grunt, a lot more torque. My second favorite thing about this bike isn't even like an adventure-y thing, it's the commanding presence. So I am 5'9"-ish, and this seat is actually a two-position seat. I like it in the tall position, but it can drop about an inch if you take the seat off and move this bracket. But the reason I like it is because it has such a commanding road presence. When I sit on this bike, the most I can get down on either side is tiptoes, which means when I'm sitting on this thing, I am eye level with lifted pickup trucks. So, A, you have a lot better visibility than something a lot shorter. You are seen a lot better by other drivers. Obviously, if you're driving it off-road, that's going to make a, give you the more ground clearance, the taller stature, but man, I like the size of it. I like it's big, it's beefy, it's heavy for an adventure bike, but that's what gives it the stability. And of course, if you're adventuring this motorcycle, you'll notice that it has a sealed shaft final drive, so you don't have to worry about chains or belts or anything coming loose or untensioned or snapping when you're off-road, because that solid rear drive line is tough to beat. You adventure guys are also going to love, I think what they call it is hub-laced wheels, but basically instead of the spokes running down into the rim, they are laced outside of the rim, and that allows you to run tubeless tires. So if you're buying the bike more for on-road and you want to run some more sport bike-oriented tires, those will be able to handle it. Of course, if you're riding off-road, you're probably going to be carrying some tubes or whatever, because if you puncture a tire and you don't have a spare with you and you're on the middle of the Mid-Atlantic backcountry discovery route, you may want the equipment to make repairs on the fly. So this newest generation of T12 has some really cool electronics on it. We'll go ahead and wake it up real quick. So I have traction control. That's this TCS down here. There's 1, which is the most interference. There's 2, which is less interference. And you can actually push and hold to turn the traction control completely off. So if you're going to be taking on gravel roads and stuff, you want to be able to drag the back wheel. Traction off is going to let you do that. I'm actually, for the purposes of this ride, going to keep it in traction 1. And then you have this mode selector here, and there's mode S and mode T. That is touring mode, which is kind of your standard performance, and sport mode, which is going to give you a little bit extra zest on the throttle. I'm going to ride it in sport mode because this is probably the 30th Tenere 1200 that I have ridden in the time that I've been at Team Power Sports, and frankly, I like it in sport mode. It's snappy, it's aggressive, it's powerful, it's exactly what I would want. This newest generation also has some other cool electronics, like the electronic cruise control handle here on the left hand, and if I open my menu, I can also choose how I want the shocks to feel. So I can go from standard to hard, and that's it. Now they're set to hard. Let's see, that's for the front, and then rear preload allows me to choose one passenger, and luggage. Takes a little second for it to spool. 2 passengers. And what that's doing is the first one that we looked at is actually changing how the front feels, and the back is also electronically adjusting, and what it's doing is changing the preload on the rear shock. So from right here at the handlebars, you can choose what drive mode it's in, you can choose what traction mode it's in, you can change how much tension and compression the front shocks are going to give you, and how much preload the rear shock has. Now I am going to go ahead and bump that back down to 1 and luggage. I do like a little bit firmer ride. That's why I set the front up on the hard setting and the back on rider plus bag. Of course, you've got the heated grips, and then there's the last little option. This thing with the little screens is just taking you that you can control what you see on this main monitor. Air temp, engine temp, time, trip. This is all customizable here on this other screen. They make a galaxy of stuff for it. I have seen for sure Yamaha makes like factory hard bags and top case. I know that GV, SW Motec, Happy Trail is there. All the companies who make adventure stuff make it for this bike. So there's crash cages, there's skid plates, there's bash bars. I mean, if you can think of it, it's out there for the T12. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention in my sort of walk around portion of the video, this thing has a giganto 6-gallon gas tank and gets pretty respectable, 40 to 50 miles per gallon if you're, not really whomping on it like some people that definitely aren't me will probably be doing. So you've got a significant range. I'm going to throw out a guesstimate, but you're in the 200 plus mile range on a single tank of gas. Tenere. And of course with the handlebars up directly in front of you and the foot pegs right below the seat. I mean, maybe 3 or 4 inches in front of where you're actually going to place your rump upon the seat. It's very easy to stand up, sit down, slide forward, sit straight up, slide backward, bend the elbows. I mean, this is a bike where you can really move around on it. And I know it's hard to tell from the angle of the camera, but this thing is big. It's a big motorcycle. It's a big, commanding motorcycle. And it's a beautiful day out here in Garner, North Carolina at Team Power Sports. We're sitting around 77, 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Partly cloudy. Tenere 1200. We're already doing 50 miles an hour. And it's a big, big motorcycle. I really wish that the camera could show you. I mean, I am taller than that guy in a full-size pickup truck. And Garner Police is speeding. That's okay though, they're allowed. So here we are at the first light. Love the acceleration. I am looking over the top of all of these sedans. My eyes are at the same height as the top light on the back of this Garner Police Cruiser. And that's what I meant by commanding presence. I have significantly increased visibility over a shorter motorcycle, and maybe it's just my imagination, but I feel like people should be able to see me a little bit better because I'm sitting well above their sight lines. So yeah, if I want to put one foot down flat with the seat in the tall position, I have to leave the other one up. So I'm left foot flat, right foot on the brake, but if I try and put my right foot down, it's the toes at best. So I'm kind of, balls of the feet if I want both feet down, but once you get accustomed to the size and the weight of it, it's not going to feel like you're handling a gigantic motorcycle. But I will say it does feel big by comparison to my last bike, which is a CBR 600, and I actually just traded that bike in on a Yamaha Warrior 1700, and even though it is a longer and larger bike, boy howdy, it sits low to the ground, so I feel like I'm sitting on a behemoth here. uneven pavement, no problem. Woohoo! Yes! Ooh, love that T12. It has a delightful gruntiness to the exhaust tone from that big 1200 parallel. Like I said, it's not what I would say to be flickable, but it is very manageable, very controllable. So we're going to downshift to third and just take this corner nice and easy. So what it feels is planted. And if you're doing touring stuff on your touring motorcycle, this is what you're going to want. You want a bike that feels planted, that's comfortable on the highway, something that you can cruise in a right or neutral position, move around on the seat if you need to, handles the corners like a dream. But the thing that I like about it is just it's planted, you know? This is a bike that I could see myself riding from here to the mountains and back to Raleigh and not having felt worn out by the time I get back. If you do any long hauling, you know, from Raleigh to the Blue Ridge Parkway, we'll call it 4 hours the way that I like to get there, which is kind of diagonal up into Virginia, like going through Tuggles Gap, Floyd, that area. It's 5 hours if you go due west, but this is a bike that I could definitely see like doing my usual Blue Ridge Parkway loop, like taking 40 out to 8 through Floyd up to Tuggles Gap, ride down the Blue Ridge Parkway, cut across Old 66, jump back on 8, bug hit my arm, and you know, burn down 40 on the way back. I could spend 10 hours on this bike, and sure, anything you ride for 10 hours, your biscuits are going to be cooked by the time you get home, but certainly not overdone on the biscuits the way that a Super Sport or slammed power cruiser like my current bike. Yeah, it's a good feel, TPS fans. I like this bike. You got torque all the way through the rev range, stable platform. It looks awesome. I feel like I could go do go to the Dakar rally on this bike. Coming to a stop, checking both ways. Acceleration. Good acceleration. Another fun turn coming up here. A little downshift action. Maybe we'll hang off it a little extra this time. Yes. Yes. Ah, delightful. You want a long-range adventure touring motorcycle, it can do off-road, it can do on-road, it can do highway. It's got all the stuff. And you just like a big, commanding, just a girthy motorcycle. I would highly recommend checking out the T12. It's a really, really cool bike. I don't know why you wouldn't buy a Tenere 1200. And you know what? If you don't believe me, and you've got a motorcycle license and 3 years of riding experience and full protective gear, this one's a factory demo here at Team Power Sports in Garner. And if you want to see for yourself what the Tenere is capable of, come on down to TPS in Garner, see the bike, ride the bike, and then let me know what you think. We've actually got these on special. They're $1,000 off MSRP on these 2023 Tenere 1200s. So if you want to see it, come on down to Team Power Sports in Garner. We're at 222 US 70 East, Garner, North Carolina. You can find us on the web at www.team-powersports.com, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, hashtag TPSNC at Team Power Sports.